Now, broadcasting from deep within your stepmom's basement, it's the Echoplex Podcast.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Piss-Drunk fraternity guy, you got my ass full of bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. Oh, I just can't understand it. Conquered divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first. You're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in a blue blood and crying. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats ready to go. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The podcast put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics, so let the bloody spill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Everybody, welcome to the Plex. We do the show live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Also simulcasting other places that largely don't matter. You can support this project, well, like somebody did right as the show started, by going to eplex.store, picking up some merch, or joining. You can join via subscription. Operates much like Patreon over there. Twitch subs actually get a discount on their subscription there. Otherwise, you can just go to echoplexmedia.com, click that support tab, and find other ways to support the project. Directly giving us money is never something we would complain about. Anyway, I'm producer Dave, and in addition to being on your grinder grid, if you're in the right zip code, you can find me on a bunch of other people's podcasts, because I've been doing a lot of interviews lately. I'll be sharing those in the Discord on Twitter, and this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Donate the cops. When the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Donate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your buddy drops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Thank your local police, 'cause they don't do nothing wrong. Thank your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head to show you're not afraid. I'm the fairest judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. 'Cause they don't do nothing wrong. Donate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job. Donate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Donate the cops. 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 Donate the cops.
All right. Well, in case anybody doesn't know, last week was the Super Bowl, and people had some ideas about it. So this was before the Super Bowl. This is Lance Wallnau. He is oftentimes used to be on the docket. We stopped covering because he's kind of annoying. But he had predicted what the significance of a 49ers Super Bowl win might be. He was wrong, but I mean, we're going to run this clip because it looks like he's wearing a trans rights scarf, which is a little odd.
I think God's taking people that are on the back bench and putting them on the front bench, putting them in the big game, taking people from obscurity and putting them on the field. And I think he's sending us to the places where there's a great door of opportunity, but a lot of adversaries. San Francisco is a place which needs mercy, not judgment. And that's the reason why it is such a capital, I think, for it always has been for the homosexual movement, because its redemptive gift in San Francisco is mercy. And mercy can be taken advantage of unless it's understood. So it's a mercy city. And I think God's having mercy on America. Now the question is, if I'm correct, how many points will they win by? Because people don't expect them to win. My son doesn't feel confident that they're going to win San Francisco. So if it's 3 points, that's close. But I'm thinking I don't like the 3. 3 number's not good because the arrows smite 3 times. It means a lack of resolve. We can't have another lack of resolve.
What the fuck is this guy talking about?
Back in the office, miraculously. We cannot just love tap 3 times. We have to really be resolved that something big is going to happen. Now, think about this. 7 would be a good spread for a point spread. 7 mountains. I mean, I am being accused of being a dominionist all the time. Let's just believe God's going to do something on all 7. 5 is mercy. So I'm going to say 7. Although that's a lot of strikes of the arrows. So it could be 4 years. 4 years of mercy with Trump.
what the fuck was like? Okay, so actually, I would have paid to watch that guy's color commentary during the Super Bowl because he was just all over the place. He was wrong too, by the way. I mean, not that it matters, in the way that he thinks it matters. He was wrong though. The other team won. Actually, I heard it was a pretty good game. I heard that they put Taylor Swift in at the end, and she did a home run or whatever it is. No, I don't think a home run is a Super Bowl, but anyway, Lance Wallnau, wrong about everything, wrong all the time, and crazy as fuck, but good on him for wearing a trans rights scarf in his video. Here's some Super Bowl news we can get behind. This is from the local news in Las Vegas.
There is plenty of excitement here in Las Vegas for this weekend, and one so-called urban climber took advantage of all the attention when he climbed to the top of the Las Vegas Sphere this morning. That's where we find our Kalia Patterson to tell us what police had to say about this.
Marie, police security is reaching heights now that the Super Bowl is in town. And I mean, literally, now that they have to protect people from themselves almost 400 feet in the air, but they say they have it all covered. It was at this moment security at the Las Vegas Sphere was outrun by Mason Deschamps.
Guys, leave property now.
Climbing nearly 400 feet to the top of the glowing globe.
Hey guys, I'm here on top of the Sphere. I guess they're going to make me go through the top.
In an online video, Deschamps says he did this to bring attention and fundraise for a homeless pregnant woman.
We are doing this today to raise money for a mother named Isabel. She is homeless and pregnant and needs help, guys. So go over to letthemlive.org or the link in my bio to go support this woman. Big thanks. Praise be to God.
Some visitors to the Sphere say his actions were a bit extreme.
I feel like some people are very passionate about things and they'll do crazy things for what they believe in. It's impressive. I don't think he should have necessarily, but it's insane that he made it all the way up there and then made it down.
The stunt happening as local police and federal officials gave more details about the intense security on and around the Strip for the Super Bowl.
And we know that people are going to test us. We know people are going to try things. As we sit here today, there's an individual for a publicity stunt that just are climbing up the top of the Sphere. Your first responders are all over there. We're taking care of it.
It's not clear how he climbed down, but we do know Deschamps was arrested and charged in destroying property and conspiracy to destroying private property.
Wait, he didn't destroy anything.
We also know that Deschamps was arrested back in 2021 for a similar stunt here in Las Vegas. We're live at the Las Vegas Sphere. Kalia Patterson, News 3.
And here he is making headlines once again. Kalia, thank you.
Wait, what did he destroy?
Disturbing trend, more
He didn't destroy anything. Oh, I guess, yeah, somebody in chat just mentioned he probably took out a bunch of the LEDs, on it. Whatever, that Sphere is stupid. I heard the concerts inside of there are kind of rad, but the Sphere is stupid. I don't know, I guess fucking critical support to that guy? I'm not sure how I feel about it. Although them calling it a publicity stunt I thought was a little weird. Simply because I'm not sure it was a publicity stunt. Like, he was not publicity for himself, although he probably was trying to get publicity for himself, but he got publicity maybe for, he said, a homeless pregnant woman, but you just never know with these fucking people. He could have just been doing that to, like, try to pretend he cared, and I get information from chat that he's also tries to raise money for anti-choice causes, which not great. Anyway, we got more Super Bowl news. Not really news about the Super Bowl, but more. Well, here's Jesse Waters. Frequent flyer here on the Sunday Show. Jesse Waters, just kind of overall mad about the Black National Anthem.
Black National Anthem or real National Anthem? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The Black National Anthem, I mean, Harold, what is that about? Sing Why all of a sudden are we having a Black National Anthem? I have no idea. That just came out of nowhere, and then I don't know the lyrics. So I'm very confused.
Well, that's the big problem, is that Waters doesn't know the lyrics. I liked how his co-host started singing it next to him. He's like, I'll sing it for you, friend. I will sing it for you. A not insignificant number of people in the NFL and playing in the Super Bowl are black. So I want to do the Black National Anthem and let them do it. And I feel like they've been doing it for 3 or 4 years now at the Super Bowl. So this is nothing new. And I think it's funny that Waters' main complaint was, he's like, but I don't know the words. How are we gonna? I don't know the words. Why are we gonna do the Black National Anthem, Jesse Waters? I'm surprised you can read the words on the fucking teleprompter, man. Up next, we got kind of a long clip. This is Charlie Kirk was mad about that fucking Jesus ad in the Super Bowl, because of course he was mad about the Jesus ad in the Super Bowl.
Let's play the He Gets Us advertisement. I want you to really riff on this. This is I believe it was a $14 million spot. So it cost $14 million to get this. It was a 1-minute commercial. And some of the background before we play this piece of tape here is the Green family is primarily the funders of this. And I understand there's a split in the family over who's actually supportive of this. There's a brother and there's a son and then there's a patriarch. But it's hundreds of millions of dollars that are being pumped behind this. And by background, before I play this, Lance, I was approached by the He Gets Us team.
Wait, that's Lance Wallnau again. I thought so. Lance Wallnau appearing, doing heroes work on the Super Bowl commentary.
But it sounded good. And as soon as I saw the ads, I said, this is really dangerous. Let's play cut 16 and then Lance riff on it. Play cut 16.
Don't ask me what you know is true. Don't have to tell you I love your precious heart. I was there.
How was that guy washing that lady's feet with oil?
You were there. Two worlds collided, and they could never tear us apart. We can live.
Okay, so we have a sizable radio audience and podcasting audience, Lance, so I apologize. I have to do one last thing before your reaction. I have to describe what we saw here. Lance, why don't you do that, actually? Why don't you describe to the audience what that was? Just imagine if you're listening on podcast, please bring that to life.
Yeah, so everybody had a great meditation moment there with the music. So here's what it is. You got these Norman Rockwell pictures. I mean, they really are Rockwell-esque, kind of like vivid color of real.
Yeah, like somebody in chat said, clearly AI.
But it's a series of pictures which are, on one hand, it's you would love it. So here's an old white guy and here's an older African American, and both of their feet are in a bucket at the same time. Or there's there's an interracial washing of feet is the theme. But then suddenly interspersed in there is some very curious subliminal propaganda. You have a bus which looks like illegal immigrants getting on a bus.
Wait, what?
But here
Wait, what? This guy's cooking.
Washing the feet of someone who's kind of like illegally entering or getting dispersed to the United States. Then you have another one where you have a guy who is clearly washing the feet of someone who's either trans or gay, flaming or queer or something.
Flaming or queer. Okay. I didn't catch that either. Also, I haven't heard the word flaming used in a long time.
And here's the point. It wouldn't be so bad if you had the visuals and you go, that's kind of weird. I like that one. I don't like that one. But the punchline, the conclusion of the entire multi-million-dollar investment is these words that pop up at the end. Jesus didn't teach hate. He washed feet. And that's what bothered me. What bothered me is they took advantage of the emotion and the yearning in America. The Super Bowl is really the desire of Americans to get away from politics and moralizing. Let me just enjoy a game for a moment, will you? The left ruins everything they touch, and they will ruin even generous philanthropic endeavors like the Green family's doing.
I'm not sure it's a generous philanthropic endeavor to spend $200 million on a Super Bowl commercial. You fucking think how many fucking houses you could buy for people.
Somehow the endorsement isn't on speaking truth and restoring America and having grace for our differences. It's condemning those that are speaking truth in order to save the nation. This he washed feet, he didn't teach hate, is a misrepresentation of the gospel. Jesus, when Jesus showed up, they didn't kill him because he wasn't controversial. Somebody didn't like what he was saying.
Yeah, the cops.
And so the reality is grace and truth came by Jesus. These people with the woke religious Jesus are presenting another Jesus. It's interesting, the Apostle Paul said something in Corinth. And
Fucking imposter. A woke Jesus imposter.
you want to look it up, you Bible students, go to 2 Corinthians, I think it's chapter 11, verse 4. He said, be careful lest somebody comes and preaches a different Jesus than the one that I preached, or that you listen to a different gospel than the one that I preached. Because the gospel of the kingdom right now for America is we are in a critical moment and we need to have truth and grace. We can't have this false religious sentimentality. That's my take.
In addition, it also plays into right-wing bad, left-wing good. If you look at these images, for example, the one that I saw, which was like the climate activist has her feet being washed by the oil guy. There was one with the abortion. There's one with like the race relations. So that was a subtext throughout. But also just
I thought the oil guy was actually pouring oil on the woman's feet. I got it wrong.
Make sure we're theologically clear here. There are a couple instances of feet washing in the scriptures. The most they're separate. The most famous is Jesus having his feet washed by, I believe, Mary Magdalene, and having the most expensive perfume being used. The other is him washing his disciples' feet of Peter and Judas. Mm-hmm. Just using that as an isolated theological, what are the takeaways? I know for certain one of the takeaways from the Mary Magdalene example is that some of the other onlookers said, how dare you use the nicest perfume, and Jesus says effectively, like, hey, you're always going to have poor people, but you only have me right now. It's about worshiping Christ above all. Lance, was that the takeaway here? This felt social justice-y.
A lot of the commercials were. For me, it was like really painful because this is so sophisticated. I mean, it's getting at you at so many subliminal levels. But I'm so glad you picked up on the Planned Parenthood was in the backdrop.
To be fair, I think it said fertility clinic or something like that.
That's the only second time I saw the commercial because these torment me. Once I don't like them, I hate watching them. But on TV, I'm constantly having to replay them. But the reality is they're trying to brainwash America into seeing the MAGA movement, the Trumpian clarity is going to be coming under attack as hate. And what makes this insidious, Charlie, is let's talk about foot washing for a second. Foot washing is in the Middle East. It isn't common now. It's a bit unusual now. I've done this in churches. It's a bit awkward. But foot washing in the Middle East is you walk around in the dirt and in the dust with your sandals. So if you're a rabbi or a teacher or a preacher, somebody who would wash your feet was essentially refreshing the messenger. So it was mostly done with believers, as you see there. It was Mary Magdalene to Jesus. It was Jesus to the disciples. He never did a foot washing ceremony in Galilee, as a way of showing that he was against hate speech.
There's more of this, but I think that's enough. Who cares? It's great. Like I said, I don't really care about the Super Bowl, but every year, there's some shit about the fucking Super Bowl. But it's not very often that the Spice Girls get brought up at all. Like, period. Nobody ever fucking brings up the Spice Girls. But don't worry. Somebody brought up the Spice Girls this time, and that's good. I don't know. Actually, I'm sure they're all doing just fine. This is about the Spice Girls.
Christianity under attack all over the globe as we're seeing a crackdown on Catholic churches in Nicaragua. Back here at home, the left has declared open season on people of faith as well. In the culture war last night, Americans witnessed what some are dubbing the satanic Super Bowl, including this moment where someone called...
This just in. Ice Spice isn't one of the Spice Girls. Oh, man. Cancel Gay Dave.
Ice Spice, who was hanging out with leftist icon Taylor Swift, made what some call satanic hand gestures while she donned a upside-down cross.
Okay. Man, I thought Ice Spice was one of the fucking Spice Girls. I didn't know that wasn't one of the Spice Girls. Ruined everything for me. Anyway, these people, if they did make something that some folks believe are a satanic gesture, baby, it's marketing. Rock and roll and music have been using this for marketing for a very long time. We have a show on Thursday nights. We do Cults and the Satanic Panic. And we talk about this a lot on there. When they start freaking out about the rock and roll and having like satanic imagery in the rock and roll, most of those people don't give a shit about Satan. They just know it's good marketing, good for their branding. When it gets dumb fucks to talk about them. And that's all that happened here. If this person indeed did intentionally make some kind of gesture that other people think is satanic. I didn't even see it. The video they showed didn't appear to show it, and I don't care. But it's awesome. It's awesome watching these people freak out. So we are now moving away from our coverage of the Super Bowl. I know everybody's really disappointed. We want to talk more about the Super Bowl, but we got Mark Meckler, who is just sort of like a right-wing pundit. And he is going to be talking about the only way to secure the border. And if you didn't guess, it's a war. We could go to war with Mexico.
I might even be more radical than those guys on this. I don't think there's any way to solve this permanently without military action.
Yeah.
We can create a buffer on our side of the river, on our side of the border, and that's helpful. Sealing a 1,300-mile border, very difficult. And I think, he said a buffer zone. I would call it, it's like the DMZ between the Koreas.
Yeah.
There needs to be a kilometer of cleared territory that is a no man's zone. Come in here. We believe you have hostile intent, and we're going to clear you out. And it needs to be that way. That would require military action, whether that's from Texas or the federal government. I would prefer it's the federal government does that. I think that we ought to acknowledge that the cartels have declared war on the United States of America. And whether they say it or not, in their actions, they've declared war on us. They control our border now. I don't know if you've seen Ben Shapiro's new special on the invasion. No. It's absolutely incredible. He's got a drone flying right
I thought
up.
you were going to ask me if I saw Ben Shapiro's new rap song. I did see that. Yes, number one, by the way.
That was very good,
which
too.
He is very
To be fair, it was only number one on Apple Music. Nobody uses Apple Music.
proud of.
Yep.
It's just weird, man, but it's good.
Same week, a number one rap song, full-length interview with Elon Musk at Auschwitz, and the Border documentary released. I don't know how he did.
Wow.
The guy doesn't sleep.
Wow.
But in one of the scenes, there's a drone flying directly above him, and he goes, "Oh, is that one of ours?" And the Border Patrol, 24-year Border Patrol guy said, "No, that's a cartel drone." He goes, "Well, are you going to shoot it down?"
What?
And he said, "No, we're not allowed to." And he goes, "What do you mean you're not allowed to?" And he said, "You have to get permission personally from Secretary Mayorkas to shoot down any drones." And he said, that drone's watching us because they know we're not a normal patrol, and they're trying to figure out what we're doing here, so they send a drone to check us out.
Oh, wow.
And so this is so why I tell that story. He said that...
I didn't know there were hipster coffee shops on the border.
We don't. We're not doing that kind of stuff. They are. And so we have to get that operational control. The only way to do it is militarily. I think that the federal government ought to go in and make military strikes against the cartels. We know where they are. We know where they're headquartered. We know where their people are. We need to do it in this country in a mass coordinated fashion because the cartels are well ensconced in this country, pretty much in every major city and most of the minor cities in this country. We need to round them up, throw them in prison, send them back to Mexico. I mean, frankly, I'm going to use a really harsh word. We need to exterminate the cartels. Yeah. And so that means going into Mexico. Now, people would say, well, you're violating a sovereign country's territory. Well, Mexico is not a sovereign country any longer. Mexico is a failed narco state. The federal government is not in control of their military. The federal government is not in control of their police. Their state governments are not. Their local governments not in control of their police forces. That is a failed narco-terrorist state. And so we have to treat it as such. And I don't mind. Let's go in. Let's clean out the cartels. Let's do what has to be done. Prop up a government that is actually a government that is going to be friendly to the United States and is going to continue to work with us to limit cartel activity in Mexico.
But you don't talk about a coup. You just have the CIA do it and then pretend you don't know anything about it. This guy's an idiot.
That we're going to have a terrorist state, which we have right now on our border forever. To me, this is like Gaza. They're invading our country. They're invading our country every day. They're killing our people.
Yeah.
And we have to go in and use maximum force to oust them, create a buffer zone along the border. If we do that, we'll have border security. It's that simple.
So, like, outside of a couple skirmishes quite a long time ago, Mexico has been a great friend to the United States. You know, it's jokes about the water in Mexico and shit, which are usually pretty racist. But there have been situations like where in New Orleans there were hurricanes and the water was undrinkable, and the Mexicans were just like, "Oh, we got you," and they brought fucking water in. I think the time there was a big storm that hit Houston, the Mexicans also came across and brought water in. They've done humanitarian aid in the southern United States when we needed it, and they've been great friends of the United States. And should these people's fucking fever dream come true in some country, they think it's going to be China or whatever, tries to invade the United States, should they try to invade in the Southwest, the Mexican military will come in and help us defend our country. These people are assholes. That is our neighbor, and there would be no worse course of action that the United States could take than to use our military inside of Mexico without the permission of the Mexican government. It would be among the dumbest things this country ever did. We're not going to whoop our ass or anything. It's not like that. It's just dumb. It would make us look dumb. I mean, okay. I mean, there are plenty of things already that make us look dumb. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but it would make us look dumb. It would be fabulously stupid. So now we're going to move on to some news about the homeless crisis. This is a great humanitarian, once again, Jesse Waters, talking about what we should do about homeless folks in places like Hollywood, California.
I'd like for the government to make our lives easier and the lives of the homeless people a little more difficult. Maybe go by with a bullhorn at 6 a.m. Boop, wake up, people. You like camping so much? Get in the van. We're going to take you to the Grand Canyon. Maybe go to the Pacific, take a dip.
Whoa. Yo, this guy like lives in like, not for nothing, this guy like he's like shits on big cities and stuff, but this guy for sure lives in New York City, probably in a nice high rise. His life is already very easy, and the lives of people who don't have anywhere to go already pretty hard. Making it more difficult seems, you know, quite bad. Fuck Jesse Waters. He is like probably, since Tucker left, Jesse Waters or Greg Gutfeld is the worst person on Fox News now. It's not between those two. There's a little bit of a like a fight or whatever maybe, but under them it ain't even close. And they got people like Laura Ingraham and Hannity over there who are also fucking ghouls. Up next, we got some news about Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, who prosecuting Donald Trump. Here's Donald Trump's attorney, who I believe will probably be disbarred by the end of this year, Alina Habba, and she has some thoughts, if we can call them thoughts.
Miss James had her shoes off in court. Let's not forget that. I called it out in the closing argument.
Should have washed her feet.
But it's true. She had a Starbucks coffee in her hand. She wasn't doing work. She wasn't sitting at the counsel table. She was in the back with her shoes off and a coffee. And at the end of the day, we're sitting there looking at this going, this is the state of our country. AGs are so comfortable in court that they know that they don't even have to do the job. They don't have to do the work. They're going to let their people do it. They're going to sit there.
What does she think the attorney, like, what does she think the attorney general's job is to do?
So we're going to go up to the next level. We're going to go to people that aren't running on a campaign, running to get Trump before they're even in office, and we will win.
So what does she think the attorney general's job is? Basically that of a bureaucrat. It's a managerial position. It is not, I mean, they may or may not have, engage in litigation themselves, but their main job is to delegate to prosecutors. They're a manager. Does she think that because it's Trump, the attorney general himself should be trying the case? Like, I don't understand what is her, why does she, if the attorney general just wants to sit in the audience and watch the case that their employees essentially are handling, okay, that's called oversight. If she wants to, if she's wearing like, work shoes, like dress shoes or whatever, and wants to kick off her shoes, if her feet don't smell, then what the fuck? Who cares? And oh no, she had a Starbucks. Here's Donald Trump talking about a civil case out of New York. And he's going to call New York just a rigged city. He had a judgment against him for several $100 million.
So instead of being in South Carolina and other states campaigning, I'm stuck here. It's an election interference case. Nobody's ever seen anything like it in this country. It's a disgrace. It's a disgraceful situation, actually. And we'll just have to figure it out. I'll be here during the day and I'll be campaigning during the night. Biden should be doing the same thing, but he'll be sleeping. This is all from the DOJ.
Sleep is good.
Comes out of Washington. They're coordinated with the district attorney and the AG. The case tomorrow, which is a rigged deal, is all coordinated with the district attorney, and it's coordinated with the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, who ought to be ashamed of herself.
I mean, okay, so the civil matter. Okay, the idea that people coordinating in their prosecution of a case is some kind of problem is stupid. Yeah, that's what these offices do.
He's campaigned for years of trying to get Trump without knowing anything about me. It's all a rigged. It's a rigged state. It's a rigged city. It's a shame. What they ought to do is go out and take care of the violent crime and the migrant crime that's destroying people.
New York City, like Manhattan, it is incredibly safe. It's one of the safest cities in the country.
Killing people. Not a case that everybody says you take a look at the legal.
In that affidavit,
CNN just cut away from it.
you swore under oath, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And in that affidavit, you swore that, well, first of all, do you recognize the affidavit?
I do.
Okay. Did you sign the affidavit?
Like how they just cut away from it. Although the clip was cut in kind of a weird way or whatever, but yeah. I don't know why they cut it that way, but whatever. At least they cut away from him. He's like, this is a rigged city. It's a rigged city. Yeah, everybody there hates you, dude. Everybody there doesn't like that guy. Nobody hates that guy like a fucking New Yorker. Don't matter if you're liberal, conservative. If you're a New Yorker, you probably hate Donald Trump. It's just the way it is. I didn't make the rules. Even the I'm walking here guy really hates Donald Trump. Up next, we have Fox News' reactions to the Fani Willis judgment, in which Trump was fined $355 million and his organization cannot do business in New York for 3 years. Here, of course, first, Jesse Waters.
This is not the Trump organization. You say people don't want to be involved in the Trump organization? They have like dozens of Fortune 500 companies who are tenants in his buildings. People love working for the Trump organization. The doormen, the guys that work in the elevator. There's no people that are complaining about getting swindled who are working for the Trump organization.
Has been ripped off all of the buildings along the West Side Highway.
Okay. These people don't Jessica says was, well, we've seen all these people who are ripped off by Donald Trump. There is a right to due process.
But that's what just happened, Boxwine Janine.
That's not due process. And I will bet my house this is reversed on appeal.
Let me tell you something. This woman, Letitia, she campaigned on fighting people instead of crime. You can't go outside without worrying about getting pickpocketed. This city's a mess. And
it is incorrect. Why do you live there then? Move to Jersey and commute.
A case like this, if you want to sell your apartment or if you want to get a loan against your property, you go to the bank, you say, this is what the apartment's worth. The bank says, I think it's this worth. And then you guys come to an agreement and you get a loan or you sell it to somebody.
But he does better in the primary. But if you look at, and we talked about this in Iowa and New Hampshire, when you talk to voters about what's going to happen in a general election and if he is convicted of something, 32% in Iowa said they won't vote for him. Over 50% in New Hampshire said they won't vote for him. People don't want to vote for a felon.
Hell yeah. Come on. This is amazing. This is amazing. Here's a special report hosted by Shannon Bream. And this is more reaction to the Fani Willis decision.
Now we are awaiting remarks from former President Trump. We will monitor that. We'll bring you any breaking news when we do hear from him. Two major courtroom dramas today involving legal action against former President Trump.
New York State Attorney General Letitia James, who you just saw, well, she wanted a penalty of $370 million. She got nearly $364 million. And that number will go up because of interest. Judge Arthur Engoron ruled the former president and his sons engaged in a years-long financial fraud to deceive banks and lenders. The judge said, quote, their complete lack of contrition and remorse borders on the pathological. The judge also said this about the former president's testimony on the stand, quote, overall, Donald Trump rarely responded to the questions asked, and he frequently interjected long, irrelevant speeches on issues far beyond the scope of the trial. His refusal to answer the questions directly, or in some cases at all, severely compromised his credibility. Mr. Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba, blasted the ruling as, quote, a manifest injustice, and she vows an appeal. The Trump legacy of the art of the deal, now it seems, hangs in the balance.
Well, they're seeing what I'm seeing, which is that a lot of this is just the expression of snarling tyranny happening all across the country because you have elements of the left that are controlling the levers of power inside of these criminal justice systems who are furious at the idea that Trump could be elected based on the voter support. What Julia was...
You'd hear these people tell it, you would assume that there's no evidence, no evidence was presented, and they're just like, I don't like him, and they're like, aha, $360 million or whatever it was. But the judge was like, yo, this guy just went on a rant instead of asking the questions when he took the stand, so that seems to have cooked him. What happens when your lawyer is Alina Habba, who is more like a part of your campaign than a part of your legal team. If you get into legal trouble while you're running for office, you fucking wall that shit off. You have to wall that shit off. There's some election laws around it, but more importantly, I think even people who really like the guy might start to see through this and be like, well, why is his lawyer in his criminal case also seem to be out there campaigning for him? It just doesn't seem like a wise way to conduct this. I mean, even if they're going to end up voting for him, it seems like he's like really fumbling all this, or his legal team is really his legal team. I can't believe I just called it that. They're fumbling all this by making this about the campaign and not trying to get him found not liable, get him acquitted, or reduce his criminal and civil exposure in all these cases. I guess they don't care. It's like the all or nothing strategy here now, right? Now it seems like at this point, if he loses, he's so cooked. He is so cooked. And they had mentioned Georgia in one of those clips. I think that's the one. I think that's where he's going down. The stuff in New York is all going to be about his financial dealings, and it's all going to be civil matters. I don't think he's going to go down for J6, but I think those RICO charges in Georgia, I think he's going to get hit on those. And he can't pardon himself, and the Georgia governor cannot pardon him. I think he has to serve at least 5 years on RICO in Georgia before he's eligible for a pardon. So I think that's where he's cooked, is Georgia. Never would have guessed this in 2016. So we're going to move on. We got a couple clips of Trump's recent speech. Here is, I just thought this was kind of funny. It's like not really that, doesn't really have much to do with the speech or anything at all, actually. But here's what the ad from Right Side Broadcasting was before Trump took the stage at one of his speeches this week.
Company's emergency contagion kit. Now, this could be one of the most vital things that you and your family buy right now, because this could save your life. It's got a Z-Pack in there. It's got ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, which I take once a week. It's got all of these things that can protect your family. The information for that.
Oh man, the ads are getting worse and worse. Even the gold people are like, nah. Now it's a fucking box of snake oil. It's just here every box of snake oil. Up next is at I believe the same rally, though it could be a different rally. Here is the former president speaking with, I think, probably his most well put together supporter. And of course, banner behind him is for his fucking sneakers. Wait, are they? Oh, this is Philly. They're booing him. Oh, this is the city of brotherly love. Oh, Trump's getting a taste of brotherly love here. She was fucking cheating out, dude. Her head was about to pop. Did you fucking see that? Yeah, I think this is actually like a sneaker convention or something like that. And he was getting booed at the beginning there. She was, her head, I'm surprised her head didn't fucking explode, if I'm going to be perfectly honest here. Up next, we're going to talk about wind power. I hope that's okay with everybody. I know we don't talk a lot about alternative energy here or renewables, but we're going to talk about wind power here. And this former guy. He's going to bring up a really good question about wind power. I don't know if this is. I don't know if he's got a point or not, but we'll find out.
They want wind, but what happens if the wind doesn't blow? They don't know. You know, it's hard to store wind energy, right? You know that. So they want wind, or they want solar, they want all things. It's not big enough to fire up your plants. It's not good. It's not consistent.
What happens if the wind doesn't blow? Well, that's why you have like many. That's why the grid relies on like several different sources of power. Yeah, you can't do it all on wind and solar yet. And it doesn't seem like we have the storage capacity for it. But that's a different. He's like, well, nobody even thought, what if the wind doesn't blow? Well, the wind doesn't always blow. Probably also one of these dumb fucks who thinks if it's a little bit cloudy, the solar panels don't work. But actually, for the same reason, you get a little bit of a sunburn. You can get sunburned if it's cloudy at the beach or whatever. The solar panels do work. Now, mind you, direct sunlight is better, but they do work to some extent in if it's cloudy out. Up next, we got Laura Trump. That's Eric's wife. I don't know how anybody decided to marry Eric Trump, but here we are. She wants to be the co-chair of the RNC. I don't know if that means she wants to be the co-chair of the RNC with Mike Pillow, but that's unimportant. Here she is on a Right View, or she's on Fox News, but her show is called The Right View.
We have to deal with what we have right now in this moment. And I'll tell you what, the RNC should have one goal and one focus, and that is ensuring that the leader of the Republican Party, Donald J. Trump, is elected as the 47th president of the United States, and we are able to save this country. Here's what I can assure you. Any person walking into the doors of the RNC with any other goal in mind will be shown the door if I were elected to this position as co-chair of the RNC. We have no time to waste. We have 9.5 months. We have to ensure that every single penny raised goes to voter registration, as you just said, legal ballot harvesting, which we have been beaten by the Democrats at forever.
Ballot harvesting. That means ballot harvesting would mean that and I'm not kidding. Like if I remember my roommates have their ballots and I'm running to drop mine off at a drop box and I'm like, mind if do you want me to take those for you? They're like, yeah, boom, ballot harvester, Dave. That's all it means. It means just going around your neighborhood, maybe whether or not you're with any organization, just picking up ballots in places where that's legal. Mind you, there are places where that's not legal and you have to drop off your own ballot. But California, I can drop off anybody's ballot, actually, as long as it's sealed and signed when I pick it up. So up next, we have Nikki Haley, who I think still believes she's running for president. She is on CNN with Caitlin Collins, and Caitlin Collins is going to ask her an interesting question about Vladimir Putin, because Nikki Haley has had negative things to say about Vladimir Putin in the past.
Right, but if it's Donald Trump as the nominee, you've said that you would support him. I mean, so that would be supporting someone that you say is a Putin sympathizer.
Well, first of all, I think you have to look at the fact that you can't look at Joe Biden and think that he is in a good mental stable state to be able to lead this country. We can look at him from 2 years ago. He's very different than he was 2 years ago. He's mentally diminished. I think Trump is mentally diminished. You can talk and give me scenarios all day long. I am trying to defeat both of those men because we need a new generational leader.
Oh, but you have not been trying to defeat Trump until just the last couple weeks. Up until like 2 weeks ago, you've been kissing his ass the whole time. And I mean, I do agree that Joe Biden has clearly lost more than a step. Thankfully, you're voting for the entire administration, and Joe Biden has hired what appear to be very competent people, and he appears to listen to them. So, that's it. We're almost out of time. If Joe Biden were to drop out, I am ambivalent, but he'll hire good people, and that's you're voting for a whole administration here. So I have two examples here of why these MAGA people generally only want to go on Fox and like OAN and Newsmax, etc. Up first, here is Representative Beth Von Duyne being fact-checked live on the air on CNN, which I don't think they like. And nobody likes being contradicted, but, if you're an elected representative and you choose to go on the national news, you should expect it. I think the news media has been too reluctant to do this, and finally, we're seeing it happen more and more often.
This is obviously huge for Republicans and really for anyone who is concerned about border security. But when you look at catch and release, you have to look at what's causing it. And it's a judicial backlog, right, of people who are coming and they are applying for, excuse me, I let you speak, who are coming and looking for protection. Yeah. There's not enough room for everyone, so you have them being released. But the law that you said you don't need, the Senate deal, had it passed and become law, would have prevented that. It would have actually upped that credible. It would have upped that credible fear threshold. It would have upped that credible fear.
No, it actually wouldn't have.
Yeah.
It would have allowed 5,000 people in our country a day.
No, that's not true. And that's not true. And the Border Patrol Council,
as was coming through.
Ma'am, may I please speak, or I'm going to have to cut this. If you won't let me speak, I'm going to cut the interview off, and I will let you speak and finish sentences.
I would.
Okay, and please give me that
much.
respect as well.
Thank you very much.
So what I will say is the Border Patrol Council disagrees with you. They've been very frustrated with what you are representing as 5,000 people. That is actually a trigger, right? Which is actually, we're above it right now on the border. So it's not as you represent it.
Yeah. Be like, we can end the interview if you want. If you don't want to let me go. I want to get my question out. We can end the interview if you want. We need more of that energy. I don't even care who goes on there and starts talking over these people. Honestly, you just be like, I've done that during interviews. I don't have to do that usually because I don't have to do it. And during the post game, actually, we're going to watch friends of the show who didn't do that, and that would be a complaint I would have or a criticism I would have of them. But I think we need more people to just be like, well, listen, if you're not going to let me get my question out, I let you finish what you were saying. If you're not going to let me get my question out, we're going to end the interview. So up next, this is Brandon Williams throws a bit of a fit over very mild pushback also on CNN.
Why isn't it better to have increased security at the border rather than nothing?
Well, that's a false choice because Joe Biden shredded the Remain in Mexico policy his first week in office. He did it very with great flamboyance, and he could reinstate that today simply with a pen. So the false choice of, hey, look at this
true,
disaster.
As you know, that many of the moves, many of the moves you've talked about that President Trump attempted were challenged in courts. You had a Democratic president here who was willing to
remain
give
in Mexico
more.
Was not struck down by the court. That's
I'm talking about executive.
Not true.
I'm talking about executive privilege and powers that the House is saying the president could exercise. But as you know, this is a president who is actually making concessions that previous Democratic presidents didn't make. I just wonder, why is it safer for your constituents to have no increased security at the border as opposed to that negotiated by your Senate Republican colleagues?
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that Joe Biden has provided no security at the border, along with Secretary Mayorkas. I think that's a bold admission.
Not exactly
by
what
CNN.
I said. I did not say that. I said
that is exactly what you said. That was the
compared
choice.
to no deal,
security at the
you
border.
had a tougher
you said
deal.
No security at the border.
No additional security. Let's talk as people who respect each other. I respect your service. I'm asking you why no deal is better for your constituents for the rest of the year, as opposed to a deal that significantly tightened up restrictions at the border.
Well, because permitting in the law, in the code, 5,000 per day on average over a period of time to enter the country.
That's not true. That's not true. It's not allowing 5,000.
It is true. It's a disaster.
It was not allowing them in. It was saying at 5,000 encounters, you don't entertain any more encounters at the border.
I'm sorry. Is that respecting each other? Is that what you're getting at here?
Well, I will challenge you when you say something that's not true.
I'm a member of Congress. You're cutting me off. It absolutely
only when you
is
say
true.
Something not true.
And you are the arbiter of truth. I realize that CNN has a great track record.
Senator James
on
Lankford,
that,
a Republican senator, said that the 5,000 per day talking point was false. So I'll quote him if you won't take my word for it. But
this is new. Somebody at CNN being like, nah, you got to stop letting people lie on here. Did somebody at CNN do that? Or are these people, this is just like a coincidence that these two people got a little annoyed. I hope it's like a new thing, because like no matter what like non right-leaning news organizations do, the Republicans are going to say that they're lying, right? Or that they're being unfair, or that they're, engaged in left-wing propaganda. So that being the case, you may as well just cut them off when they're lying. And he wasn't even cutting him off. He's like, well, that's not true. So, up next, we got Alan Dershowitz, a rare W from a friend of Epstein, Alan Dershowitz, talking about the special report on Joe Biden that went, outside of the scope of the special report on Joe Biden, because the special counsel was supposed to be filing a report on whether or not Joe Biden had committed crimes that would be indictable or prosecutable, and that went well outside of the scope of that. And Alan Dershowitz, of all people, is going to point that out. And Maria Bartiromo, who should probably have lost her job at Fox because she was one of the reasons they lost all that fucking money in that Dominion lawsuit, is probably not going to be too pleased with this, though I do like her necklace.
The report itself is a disaster on both respects. It was unfair to both sides. First, they got the law wrong. The kind of cognitive skills you need to be able to commit this crime are minimal cognitive skills. All Biden had to know is that he did possess classified material and that he had no right to possess it. You don't need a deep memory to do that. So he was just wrong about the law. He was also wrong about how trials are conducted. How would the jury find out about Biden's bad memory? Biden would have to introduce it. As a trial lawyer, I would never have introduced that as a defense in this case. So Hur was wrong. Hur was also wrong in going as far as he went in trying to do a medical diagnosis of somebody who he hadn't examined, who medically or hadn't been examined medically. So, I think this report is going to really cause us to think hard about the role of special counsel. He was wrong in everything he possibly could have done. He was wrong about not charging Biden. Biden should have been charged, or Trump should have been his case dismissed. And he was wrong in going into kind of medical diagnoses that will have a political impact on the case. A D- with great inflation for Mr. Hurd.
Yeah, I mean, look, he had to give a reason as to why he wasn't going forward with any prosecution.
Well, but can you imagine if he had said, look, all the elements are there, but he's a really good-looking guy and a charming guy, and I don't think the jury's going to convict him. He's so charming. Or if he had said, look, he's black, and the jury in this district is going to be predominantly black, so we're not going to charge. That's not what a special counsel is supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be laying out the elements of the crime and not making predictions about how the jury will assess the evidence. That's up to the jury itself. So he went way beyond the scope of what he should have been doing.
So, I mean, at the end, Dersh kind of made a false equivalency because as soon as it was found that those documents were there, they were just given back. That's it. And that's not what the former president did. I don't know why all these people got these sticky fingers, though. But you know who didn't take nothing they weren't supposed to take from the fucking White House? Barack and Michelle Obama. That's who. They didn't take shit. They didn't take so much as a fucking pen. Squeaky clean as a motherfucker. Speaking of Barack Obama, here's Ted Cruz. Did you know that Barack Obama is the one who's actually in charge right now? Not George Soros. I thought it was George Soros, but it's actually Barack Obama. That's who's in charge. And here's Lion Ted to talk about it.
House did H.R. 2. It went nowhere in the Senate. Is that Mitch McConnell? Who's responsible?
Sadly, it is. Look, it's Chuck Schumer, number one, and Chuck Schumer is helping drive the train. Listen, we know Joe Biden's not driving the train, so it's a combination of left-wing congressional Democrats and I think Barack Obama that are driving the train, and Joe Biden is Mr.
Oh, you almost had it. Just calling him Joe Obama. You almost had a good one there, dude. But then you corrected yourself, you stupid fuck.
Just wandering around confused.
Oh, he almost had it. He almost had one. I thought Joe Obama was a pretty, I think it's stupid, but I thought, it he would have been punching above his weight in his ability to engage in rhetoric had he stuck with Joe Obama there, but he couldn't do it. I like that. But nope, dumbass Ted couldn't even if it was an accident, he couldn't just go with it. Nope. Anyway, up next, if you could imagine this, Lindsey Graham doesn't like TikTok.
Do you realize, Mr. Chu, that your TikTok representative in Israel resigned yesterday?
Yes, I am aware.
Okay, and he said, I resigned from TikTok. We're living in a time in which our existence as Jews in Israel, and Israel is under attack and in danger. Multiple screenshots taken from TikTok's internal employee chat platform known as Lark show how TikTok's trust and safety officers celebrate the barbaric acts of Hamas and other Iranian-backed terror groups, including the Houthis in Yemen.
Senator, I need to make it very clear that pro-Hamas content and hate speech is not allowed on our platform within our country.
Why did he resign? Why did he quit?
Senator, we also do not allow any.
Do you know why he quit? Do you know why he quit?
We do not allow this. We will investigate such claims.
My question is, he quit. I'm sure he had a good job. He gave up a good job because he thinks your platform is being used to help people who want to destroy the Jewish state. And I'm not saying you want that. Mr. Zuckerberg, I'm not saying you want, as an individual, any of the harms. I am saying that the products you have created with all the upside have a dark side. Mr. Citron, I am tired of talking. I'm tired of having discussions.
I mean, I'm tired of you talking too, because you're a dumb fuck.
Know the answer here. And here's the ultimate answer. Stand behind your product. Go to the American courtroom and defend your practices. Open up the courthouse door. Until you do that.
Wait, are they subject to any legal, you can't just go to the court. You can't just be like, I would like a courtroom where I can defend my product. The court clerk would be like, I don't see you on today's docket.
Will change. Until these people can be sued for the damage they're doing, it is all talk. I'm a Republican who believes in free enterprise, but I also believe that every American who's been wronged has to have somebody to go to complain. There's no commission to go to that can punish you. There's not one law in the book because you oppose everything we do. And you can't be sued. That has to stop.
Wait, folks. You can sue TikTok.
How do you expect
sue anybody?
The audience to believe that we're going to help their families if we don't have some system or a combination of systems to hold these people accountable? Because for all the upside, the dark side is too great to live with. We do not need to.
So he's conflating some things, and we talk about this a lot around here. And I don't want to spend too much time on it because we got a whole rest of the docket to get through. Although we're making pretty good time tonight. TikTok is mostly younger people. Younger people, not just in the US, but around the world, are far more skeptical of the controlling coalition of the Israeli government led by the Likud party than older people are. And so he's conflating criticism of the Likud-led coalition that controls the Israeli government and sympathy for the people who are getting fucking bombed into smithereens with like support of Hamas. And it's going to come up later during the post game in an interview we're going to run where Sam Harris was challenged on this. And I think this is dishonest. And I don't know if Lindsey Graham knows the difference, but I think some of these people running this line, they do know what they're doing. They do know the difference. And they're hiding the ball. If you're in favor of the behavior of the Likud-controlled coalition in Israel, bombing civilian populations, just say so. I am not in favor of that. I feel like 2 or 3 days after that attack on the rave, continuing to bomb was just fucking barbarism, just fucking completely barbaric. At first day was probably an overreaction because they fucking dropped a lot of fucking bombs. Next day, revenge. Third day, cruel and horrifying revenge. And by the fourth day, well, we got words for what was happening by the fourth day, if you ask me. And that's what a lot of people, younger people and more liberal people and just people who are skeptical of state power, no matter who they are, or what color their skin is, or who their imaginary friend is. That's what a lot of those people think. And the younger people are just on TikTok. I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you, baby. Up next, there's a open Senate seat for the state of California, Dianne Feinstein's old seat. I do believe this seat should have been open a lot longer time ago. Dianne Feinstein, 8 years ago, could have retired with a very intact legacy of, for her time, generally progressive voting record. But she didn't do that. She wanted to hold on to power. So now there's debates, which is fine. That's good. And there are two people in this that I really like. One I don't like. And one who's probably going to win who is, I would say, acceptable. And so here's one of them I do like. I do like Katie Porter. I do like Katie Porter. And here is something she said at the last debate, which we chose not to cover the debate in longer form. This is from KTLA 5 Los Angeles.
My kids ask me all the time, Mom, why doesn't Congress fix things? Well, the truth is Congress does fix a lot of things. They fix it so that billionaires get more tax breaks while the rest of us struggle to make ends meet. They fix it so that big oil can continue to poison our communities, especially communities of color. They fix it so big pharma can continue to price gouge us. I'm running to do it differently. I've never taken corporate PAC money, and I'm the only elected official on the stage who can say that. I'll fight for Californians, not special interests.
I like Katie Porter and I like Barbara Lee. I would accept Adam Schiff is okay. And the one thing I do like about Adam Schiff is that he is not afraid to fucking rope-a-dope. And Katie Porter not afraid to rope-a-dope. I like Barbara Lee primarily because she's from the Bay Area. She has a long history of representing the Bay Area in the House of Representatives, and her politics are closer to mine. Katie Porter, I like for most of the same reasons. She's from Orange County. She won a tough race in Orange County and flipped Orange County, and she hasn't tacked to the center or she hasn't tried to gain votes from Republicans or gain favor with the right just because she's from a historically conservative area. So I like that about her. Adam Schiff is in a relatively safe district. And the thing I like about him is he's not afraid to rope-a-dope. That Republican guy on there has no fucking chance. Dude, I forget. He was like I forget what he did. He was like a football guy or something before that. He's just running to fucking sell a book and probably speak at conferences or something. Who knows? So up next, we got Tammy Lamborghini. It's Tomi Lahren. Strangely enough, she's kind of delivering a little bit of truth to Sean Hannity, which is a little bit surprising. Again, I don't like her politics. I don't like her. I think she's a mean person. But she's she's on Fox News here, kind of telling the truth about what's been going on in the recent elections. Probably in the middle of a bunch of other bullshit she's going to say.
Well, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I want to be optimistic. But every time we think there's going to be this red wave and races that we should win, even this week with the George Santos seat and then a special election in Pennsylvania, Republicans should be able to win these things. Unfortunately, Republicans are not winning these things that are very winnable. When we're looking at these polls, we're also assuming that Joe Biden is going to be the nominee. Sean, I've been saying it for over a year now. I don't think Joe's going to be the nominee. So Republicans and Donald Trump have to prepare themselves for that. I also, looking at these polls, it's nice to see Donald Trump ahead in some of these important states, but we also have to remember that Joe Biden at this point is essentially a vegetable. His policies are horrible. His cognitive state is horrible, and it's on display. And Donald Trump is only leading by that small percentage. Donald Trump should be crushing him by much higher margins, considering the physical and mental state of Joe Biden and this country. So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I don't want to be negative, but Republicans, you have a few months to figure this out. You got to win elections, and you've got to win electioneering, early voting, mail-in voting, voter registration. Those things are going to be important. It's not enough just to have a better candidate anymore. You got to have a good strategy. The Democrats have mastered it. We better get in the game or we are going to lose.
She right. Voter registration drives, not a big Republican thing. Early voting, ooh, they hate that. Mail-in voting, they think that's just pure fraud. So if that's the state of play, they're at a pretty big structural disadvantage because they're stupid. And I mean, that's good. I don't know. I don't believe that. I don't believe it's highly likely that Biden won't be the nominee. And if he were to drop out, he needs to do it fucking tomorrow because there's not a lot of time. I could see an argument for it. And he could just say, when I ran, I said, I think I'm the only one with the political machine to defeat Trump. And after I'm done, we need to pass it on to the next generation of Democrats. Boom, goes out as a fucking hero. Not going to do it. Ego too big. And that's everybody. Nobody's going to do that. It doesn't matter. It's not a Joe Biden thing. It's an I'm the president thing. I don't think anybody would ever do that. So here we are, and it is going to be about turnout. And she's right. The Democrats have a pretty good turnout machine. So it's a little over an hour in, so it's time for a palate cleanser. I'd like to thank the Discord, particularly Allie Drew, for providing this palate cleanser. This is a drunk bird.
This is the drunkest bird of the world. Meet the Kereroo, also known as wood pigeon, which hails from New Zealand. During summer, the bird binges on fruits, and if the fruit is ripe and the weather is warm, it can ferment and turn into alcohol, and the bird goes nuts. They become drunk, lose coordination, fall from trees, and pass out. You may come across one of them trying to walk and roll on the ground. Locals in South Westland are being asked to keep an eye out for the intoxicated Kereroo. Take them to Kereroo hospitals to help them sober up. They sometimes get very fat, may weigh up to 2 pounds, and motorists are also warned to watch out for falling drunk Kereroos. These fruit-eating birds play a vital role in dispersing the seeds of native trees.
This is live, everybody. The video just stopped. That's okay. Watch out for the drunk burb, everybody. Watch out for the drunk burb. I do like that burb. It's like me late at night on the show. No, I'm just kidding. I don't get wasted on stream anymore. I used to, though. During the pandemic, I was that bird. Like, watch out for drunk Twitch streamers. Up next, we got a very confused kitty. This would have been good for Catterday, but I don't always check through the dockets before Catterday. Plus, we had a guest on last night. Shout out to Joni, VC Archives, actually. Fantastic guest. So this guy had removed the glass top from his glass table, and this poor kitty Check this out. Oh, poor kitty. People listening to the pod, you're going to have to just check the docket or find the video of this. One more time. Aw, poor kitty. At least he didn't hurt himself. But look, kind of smart. We're like, okay, time to investigate. I'm just glad the kitty didn't hurt themselves. If that kitty got hurt, I would have not run that, because I'm not trying to run videos of cats getting hurt. But thank you, Allie Drew, for always including some cute animal clips in the Discord. Up next, you know what? I can't even fucking describe the next thing I'm going to show you. Actually, this is some really, really odd church shit. I wish Lisa says what was up in the chat to watch this, because I think Lisa would get a kick out of this. Check this out.
Call it in the air. Tails, what I be kicking? Yeah, let's just go with tails. Would you like to kick or receive the Bible? I will receive.
Tom wins the toss, chooses to receive the Bible. Patterson back with the kick.
Oh, good kick.
Is that a touchback? Can you even get a touchback?
First time in 18 years there's a touchback for the kickoff. Super Bowl.
Not sure that's a very pro-Christian thing to do, to do a kickoff with the Bible. You would think that would be like an atheist thing. Like you'd see that at like the atheist convention or whatever, in addition to like sexual harassment and probably racism. Up next, we got a pretty weird question at a briefing that the Pentagon had. Now, I think that usually, you count on the Pentagon to lie to you generally. I mean, that's their job. Most of these people are also part of the intelligence apparatus. But sometimes you get asked a fucking weird enough question that you're not even sure what lie you're supposed to tell. And I think this is going to be one of those cases.
Thank you. Let me go to the phone here. Jeff Shogel, Task and Purpose.
Thank you. I know this may be a question for Soviet Premier Putin, but the god-awful thing that the Russians want to put into space, is it like GoldenEye, the thing from the 1995 Bond movie? And is it time for all of us on the ground to join Jed and the Wolverines?
Jeff, I'm not sure how to respond to that. I guess we just have to live and let die. All right.
Bad joke. But I mean, that question was so weird that the dude couldn't even come up with a lie. And that's a professional liar. So I guess shout out to the person who asked the question. So weird that the professional liar couldn't come up with a lie for it. I guess that's we'll take. I don't even know if that's a W or I don't know. Yeah, the chat's confused. I'm confused. Usually we have a pretty decent like the news show. Like it's usually it's stuff's a little wild and whatnot. But usually we can understand what's going on. But I have no idea what just happened there. No way to explain that, really. Up next, we have some family-friendly programming recommendations from Charlie Kirk and his panel of idiots.
I just looked this up, Charlie. I didn't realize this, Jack. The last time that in Belarus they used capital execution here was in 2019, and it was by firearm.
Yeah, that's how you should. By the way, this is my other problem with death penalty. It takes too long, too many appeals. Expensive. It should be public. It should be quick. It should be televised.
What? This can't be right, can it? The last execution in France was guillotine in 1977.
100% true. They used the guillotine
until 77.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
There's videotape of it.
Honestly, that's like what we should be doing, and I agree. It should be public
and
televised. Public square.
By the way, you could fund the government
to watch it.
You could have brought to you by Coca-Cola, and no, I'm not kidding. By the way, I would totally tune in to see some pedo get their head chopped off.
Okay, so who would, even if it was a child abuser, you just don't want your brand associated with that? What is he talking about?
Convicted by a jury.
By the way,
peers.
That's going to get.
No, I'm talking about a real thing. I'm not talking
all
about
executions in Belarus are by firearm. That's not a choice or anything.
Andrew's saying don't make kids watch it, and I think the absolute
I think
opposite.
at a certain age, it's an initiation.
16, if you can drive, you can watch
but hold
it.
on.
Not even
See,
16.
If
I would
all of a
say-
sudden you look at some of these savages, like in Indiana, there was this guy that went in and killed a pregnant woman and her 3 kids.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want to watch that execution. That'll make my day better. I want to see him on a public block and get him be publicly executed. And I think that would be justice. You think children should have? You should see it. What is the age? At what age should you start to see public executions?
16.
I think you could do it earlier. I think you maybe at age 12,
Whenever-
6th grade or so.
Oh my God. Public executions are probably outlawed. I think even our current Supreme Court would say, well, there is a clause in the Constitution about cruel and unusual punishment. I think like pay-per-view execution is cruel and unusual punishment. If you are of a mind, you can go there is an observation gallery for a lot of public executions. It's mostly for the press, but I do believe private citizens can go. And if you're of a mind, you can go. But if I find out that you go to those for fun, I ain't fucking inviting you to the barbecue. Fucking bloodthirsty ass motherfuckers. Up next, we got the former president's fucking weird son, not the cokehead, the other son. Actually, my dad was the president, and he was anointed by God. I think God anointed my dad. He was the president.
I think he's created the greatest political movement in history, and I really do believe that something is looking down and guiding him every single day, because there's no way in the world he could have been where he is today without the intervention of God. And
amen.
Man, Kenny G turned into a chud. I had no idea.
I feel it. I know it. Hillary Clinton raised $1.5 billion. My father, who knew nothing about politics, in 2016 raised $300 million. And somehow
he's a businessman.
He won the White House against impossible odds. And I really do believe that there's divine intervention there. I think somebody was guiding him. And
well, I don't know what to say here. Anointed by God, divine. And I just like Eric Trump clips because he's like, my dad. That's just the only reason, actually. It just reminds me of this old clip on that I saw on what was it? Cartoon Network Nighttime. I forget what they used to call that, but the guy was like, I'm going to write a letter, and he was all, Dear ass faces. And that's just what Eric Trump reminds me of. Up next, we got Fire by Night reject Robin Bullock, who we're still trying to figure out if that's his real hair or if he's wearing a wig. He's going to talk about how Trump actually needs to be re-anointed. Shout out to Right Wing Watch for the 6 or 7 of our clips tonight, actually.
Trump was anointed to be king twice. But when this 4 years runs out, he had to be anointed again. Because our cycles only run in 4 years. So if he's not anointed again, if he wasn't anointed again, when the election comes up, that anointing will leave him.
So wait, being anointed has like a 4-year it has an expert. I didn't know that God's anointment had an expiration date. That's interesting. You learn something new every day.
He has to be anointed for the next term because he's already spent his 2 terms. He's been president this whole time. Mm-hmm. Heaven recognizes him as president. And so he had to be anointed again.
Oh, well, shit. I talked to God the other day, actually, and he's like, I ain't anointing that motherfucker again. So I guess that's the way it goes. Sorry, Robin. Unfortunately, it's all bullshit. It's just going to be a matter of who wins the Electoral College. So, all these masculinity influencer podcast bros, we found somebody they should be very, very afraid of. Fucking shout out to this gal.
There's a ton of marriages in which women are also working and then also shoring up a lion's share of the household duties. And that's why they're unhappy, because now they're being burdened in two directions.
But so what's the solution to that?
Men shoring up more on domestic duties, but they won't because of freaking tradcons and neocons who are telling them that it's gay and beta if they do these certain tasks.
It is gay and beta most of the time, I agree.
And I also think that's why men are suffering. So for instance, like the unemployment rate of men returning back to the workforce is very, very high right now. And that's because feminists are kind of pushing for this like revanchist return to just like older times. And even though you claim you're not trying to turn the clock back, a lot of the solutions that feminists are advocating for just won't help men, because the burgeoning sectors right now are overly feminized. It's stuff like nursing, childcare, hospitality. And these industries are actually reaching out to men and they're trying to recruit them, but a lot of men will turn them down. And instead they're sitting on their ass, they're addicted to opiates. Like over half of unemployed men are addicted to some sort of painkiller. They're playing video games all day, they're to porn, which is yes, one problem, but there's so many others. And feminism is what's telling men, like, leave your toxic masculinity behind, join a nursing career, join a teaching career, but they won't do it because of tradcons and neocons telling them that they're gay and beta if they do these kind of like unwarrior-like positions.
But I do think that it's not just a matter of social construction. I think women are more nurturing.
The nursing programs and teaching programs have like put out research of why men won't join these industries despite them reaching out. And one of the biggest reasons is because they feel like it's overly feminine. Do you think that's due to liberal feminism or due to conservatism?
No, I think it's just natural. I think the men should work, but they should maybe do things that they're more inclined to do. I don't think we need to conscript men to go become nurses wearing frilly little dresses.
And why do you see that as putting on a frilly dress to go into like nursing and hospitality?
Because you're using that example.
You're presupposing that it's feminine and gay. You're doing the thing.
Oh, dude. I mean, she just said one thing in there that I didn't like as much. She was talking about porn. I think porn is fine. And I think like porn addiction is like an overblown thing. I don't think a lot of people are addicted to porn. But other than that, dude, she just absolutely slayed Michael Knowles. She at the end, she's like, "You're doing the thing I just described." She's like, I don't know what else to tell you. More of her. Send her to more of these places. Because was she right? Yeah. If you're a young man right now and you're looking for a great field to go into, she's right. Nursing would be a great field to go into. They're trying to reach out to men. So you might actually have an easier time getting hired than maybe a similarly qualified woman, just because those fields are trying to reach out to men. And that's a good fucking job, actually. You become like a nurse practitioner, you get into management and nursing, and you're making $150,000, $200,000 a year if you're at a well-known hospital. Like, she's right. There's all kinds of incentives for people entering those careers. And it's to the detriment of men that they have these influencers telling them that, oh, you don't want to go work at a hotel, that's gay. And I'm like, well, what do you mean that's gay? She's right. I wish I knew her name. If we could find out her name, I'd maybe even like to reach out to her and have a discussion with her, because I had a discussion recently that's going to come out pretty soon with a guy who talks about men's issues from more or less our side. I think he's more like moderate, or possibly even a moderate conservative, but he hates the fucking meninists. And we had a great conversation about men's issues and the things holding men back and some of the problems that men face, and how it's a lot of times the problem it's caused by the media they consume. And she was just dead on. I know it was sped up and edited, but I actually wouldn't mind seeing that entire conversation in context, because she fucking nailed it. And she talked to that guy's audience in a way that they understand too. It's like different than me going on there, because I don't speak the lingo and she speaks the lingo. So she is like kryptonite to those people. I have a feeling I'd like to see more of her, but I have a feeling we're not too far away from her being persona non grata in these spaces, because they don't like that shit at all. We got a couple more here. Actually, the rest of the docket here for the regular part of the show is Brett Weinstein. Got 3 clips of Brett. Here he is recently on Joe Rogan doing more of the HIV/AIDS denialist stuff that he got into when he started to feel his COVID runway. Or I don't know if the runway going away, maybe it's a bad analogy because the plane flies, but started to run out of road on that COVID stuff. So now he's going with some old school bullshit, the HIV/AIDS denialist crap.
After I looked at what Luc Montagnier had said, and I read Bobby Kennedy's book on Fauci, was that actually the argument against HIV being causal was a lot higher quality than I had understood. Right? That it being a real virus, a fellow traveler of a disease that was chemically triggered, that is at least a highly plausible hypothesis. And with Anthony Fauci playing his role that was inconvenient for what he was trying to accomplish.
There's also ignoring a very important factor in AIDS, which is party drugs.
That is the competing hypothesis. And for those who think that this is a preposterous allegation, you should look at this evidence. The evidence is surprisingly compelling. And, you know, if your mind resists that, realize that Luc Montagnier, who got a Nobel Prize for the discovery of HIV, later in life became convinced that the thing for which he got the Nobel Prize was not nearly as important as he had imagined. He believed that HIV was not the causal element. So
with AZT, with AIDS, it was killing people. So now you have people dying from AIDS. And you have this medication, which Fauci in the 1980s was famously quoted as saying, is the only reason why we use only one medication is because the only medication that's been proven to be both safe and effective.
Right.
Where have you heard that before?
Right. COVID was a rerun of the AIDS chapter with AZT.
But the AIDS chapter seems even more terrifying, because if the initial treatment was AZT, and we know AZT kills people, you're taking someone who has a compromised immune system, and your response to that was give them something that's going to kill them quicker, and then say there's a giant crisis. And this is what Duesberg was demonized for.
Yeah, I agree. And
Okay, so again, with a novel disease, sometimes the initial treatment's not going to be exactly right. As somebody in chat said, we now use a lower dose of AZT or oftentimes other therapeutics. And but the meat of that was that he's just saying, oh, you know, it's just a coincidence, actually, that people have the HIV virus. And if left untreated, they end up with a disease that we call AIDS. It's just a coincidence. Fucking disgusting. Fucking disgusting. You know, I'm of a certain age. People in my generation, not a lot of us died during the AIDS crisis, but it's not like we didn't know people 10 years, 15 years older than us that did. And I know a couple people who are no longer with us who would be with us today if they had not contracted HIV and subsequently died of the disease called AIDS. And it's fucking disgusting. Brett also went on the Alex Jones show. We can't run this in long form, as it is, you know, TOS to run long form of any Alex Jones on Twitch, but we can run clips. So, the clip that he ran promoting it seems to be gone, but that's okay. Here's a clip from someone else of Brett on Alex's show. I had two clips here, luckily. Here's Brett talking about the depopulation agenda on the fucking Alex Jones show. This is where he was going to end up. I predicted this. Chris Kavanaugh from Decoding the Gurus predicted this. We all predicted that he was going to end up on the fucking Alex Jones show. Kind of did it as a joke when COVID started and Brett was wilding out, but we weren't necessarily joking. And Brett has reached his final form.
To me, this is the central issue of it all. When you were on Tucker, you explained, you said, listen, there's not words to describe, I'm paraphrasing, how dark this is. The open borders, the devaluation of currencies, the destabilization. When you look at it, there is organization by the administrators. As you said, it's easy to dynamite and destroy things when you're the administrator and have all this BlackRock money. But notice they can't ever actually build anything. So they're sitting there going, look what a great artist I am, smashing things. And then society looks like a Jackson Pollock. But how are they ever going to paint a Rembrandt?
They're not. What they have recognized is that they have no use for us. And I wish that was an exaggeration, but you can see this so clearly in what they did to the public over COVID. They were unconcerned about delivering novel, they're not vaccines, but novel so-called vaccines.
They're vaccines.
To people who stood no chance for benefiting from them. Healthy young people. There was never an argument that made any sense
for delivering those shots to healthy young people. About
the argument for inoculating everybody is that's the only way inoculations work.
The best you could say was that you might do that in order to protect vulnerable, infirm people. That's not something a rational civilization would do, but at least that's a logical argument. But at the point that we discovered that these things did not in any way control the disease, they didn't
incorrect
people contracting it, they didn't control people transmitting it.
Yes, they did.
The logic for inflicting them.
They're nirvana fallacying it. There's some evidence that it might prevent you from getting it, but most importantly, spreading it. This is one of those diseases where the symptoms are the way that you spread the disease. So if you are vaccinated and you contract COVID, but you are asymptomatic and you're not coughing all over the fucking strawberries at the store, you're way less likely to spread it because your water droplets aren't flying everywhere when you cough.
On healthy young people who were not threatened by COVID and stood to gain nothing, evaporated. And yet we're doing it to this day. Harvard apparently just reinitiated their policy of requiring those shots for their own students. So what that's telling you is that whatever is driving doesn't care that it is going to kill people who have long, potentially important long lives with potentially important contributions to make.
This is just incorrect. Inoculation doesn't work if you don't inoculate everybody. It's not even inoculation if you don't inoculate everybody. And if he's saying that it didn't do anything to help you from getting it and spreading it, why then is he saying that only people who are at risk should get it? I thought it doesn't do anything. Why give it to people that are at risk if it doesn't do anything? See, like it doesn't make any sense even on its own terms. And Brett's one of those people who I think knows it, but money is a powerful motivator, right? Like you can't get somebody to stop saying something if their paycheck requires them to continue saying it. And in some ways, I'm thankful that the Twitch terms of service are ambiguous at best, and I'm not willing to take the risk of running that interview on the show because I would just get fucking angry, honestly. I don't like getting angry on stream. We talk about things that are troubling enough, and I don't like getting angry on stream. Not a good look. Could get clipped out, and they'd be like, look at this fucking crazy leftist over here. And maybe they're right. Maybe I'm a crazy leftist. But Brett is a giant piece of shit. And what I do want to say is there were a lot of people who were more moderate than us, less likely to go after people's character, who prior to COVID were like, oh, Brett's just got some concerns about the overreach of, political correctness or whatever. And, even before COVID, we're like, nah, this guy's a piece of shit. And we were right. I was right. Ina from Polite Conversations was right. Dr. Jen Gunther was right. Sam from the Majority Report was right. We were right. We were right about these people. We're not always going to get it right. But just because we have a strong left bias doesn't mean that we're not able to spot patterns of bad behavior by people. And I would suggest to you that maybe not back then, but by this point, I've become pretty good at spotting these patterns of behavior in people and being out ahead of the curve on people. One example is anti-Scientology creator Aaron Smith-Levin. Meaty Wench and I were way out ahead of the curve on that, and people excommunicated us from the anti-Scientology community for it. I was also right about Brett Weinstein. Eric Weinstein was a fucking joke from the drop. Anybody who thought that guy was serious from the jump was an idiot. He works for Peter Thiel and thinks he's a physicist. He may have a degree in physics, but physicists are people who do physics, not people who work for Peter Thiel. Anyway, enough tooting my own horn. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, podcast listeners, and thanks, live viewers and listeners. Especially thanks to the live people. This is a lot more fun with a live audience, obviously. If you want to support this project, go to echoplexmedia.com, click the support tab. The merch is the best way, but also the memberships over there at our swag shop are pretty cool. I think it's better than Patreon. One, my split's a little better, but we're literally talking $1 difference, maybe 50 cents even. But you get automatic discounts on all of our products there. And of course, there are other ways to just directly donate to us. And Twitch people, the split sucks, but it's totally fun to subscribe and throw bits and stuff because you get gifts and shit on the stream. Also, I have an article coming out. It should be coming out this week. probably before the next time I'm live after tonight, actually. And the article's title is A Dying Cult and an Activist Community in Chaos, and it is about the anti-Scientology community. I am about halfway done with it. Just to the background part, I haven't gotten to the meat of the point I'm going to make, but the point I'm going to make is fucking good. And it's going to be, again, me patting myself on the back for having initially been right and nobody listening to me. Anyway, that's the show. I am going to change the color of the lights in this room, take a piss, and adjust the contents of my beverage, and we'll be back for the post game. So live viewers, stick around, and podcast listeners, bye.